All right, Assalamu alaikum everyone. It is I, Arif Khan, back after a little bit of a hiatus. I was gone on vacation, missed half the season, but at least I'm here to host this. So I probably won't have a lot to say about the last 2 weeks, but I know who will, and those are Mr. Omar Sawi. Assalamu
Alaikum.
alaikum.
How's
And
it
Mr.
going, everyone?
Zaid Maju.
Oh boy,
Yeah,
another
so we got
Quebec.
like a Quebec thing going on today, eh? Like we got
I mean,
Expos, all defunct teams, I should say.
yeah, I
Anybody
feel
but the
like
Leafs.
I don't feel like our viewers should be subjected to this torment of having to endure the abuse of the French on this podcast.
Yeah, I guess so. But like,
Someone's got to get the wins.
well, you know what? All these defunct teams have the same thing in common as the Leafs. They haven't won in 50 years.
Wow. All right, guys, it's
All
been a
right.
good
On that note,
podcast.
let's go to winning teams here. So, I guess we're doing pardon the interruption style this week, right? So, courtesy
That's
of Mr.
correct.
Asawi, we got some nice graphics right here. Let's see. This probably looks better. So, first of all, I wasn't here, so I have no clue. I'm just gonna sit back and then enjoy this session here. So let's go with player of the week as our first thing.
We get to see your reaction like live, so that's gonna be good.
Yeah,
All right, I don't.
I don't see any comments this week, man. What's going on? Is everybody sleeping?
Yeah, I'm wondering if it's even being sent publicly. Yeah, let's
It
check.
is. We got 18 people watching 19. It's
That is
slowly
true.
creeping up.
That is true. Well,
Oh, where do you
well,
see?
if
Where do you guys see that? I don't see that.
it's up on the top. There's 20 people. So if you can hear us, type in what's up.
Oh,
Oh,
there we
there we
go.
go. Ah, of course. Can't start
Riz.
without
And
Mr. Rexdale royalty, my
I
man.
know,
What's going
right?
on, buddy?
It's been a while actually since Imran has been able to tune into a podcast. So that's you know what? It's always a special one. And then we have our boy Riz as well.
Of course. Riz, what's going on? Salaam boy. Who else we got? Umer B. Who's this guy?
I don't know. I
Taking a
don't
break
know.
from TikTok?
Maybe he's at
Ahmed
the gym.
Ibrahim. Habibi. All right, so it looks like we have a crowd slowly forming. Let's just jump right into this. So going back, we have the player of the week. So who wants to take this on first?
I mean, Zayd is from your team, so why don't you do it?
Sure, absolutely. So we got the one and only player of the week is Mr. Arsal. He contributed big time on his just coming back, and he scored 3 goals, got 1 assist as well. Empty net was one of the goals, but regardless, the Sahadi just played really well. He's playing forward, which again draws a lot of attention from other teams, and some criticism within not within the team, but within the league. That why isn't he playing defense? So that's hey, you know what? He just put him on notice, saying, "Don't worry about it. Let us do our own thing. Let Suber do their own thing, and just and he'll contribute his own way."
Well, I think a lot of people underestimate how good Arsenal is at all positions, but especially as forward, right? Like, I mean, I think based on our pre-draft rankings, I think we had this assumption that he would probably play forward on the Subber team, and we anticipated him probably being one of the top centermen in the entire league. And if you look at the way that Arsenal moves the ball, both when he plays defense and when he plays forward, he brings something consistent to both, no matter what position he plays, and that is great vision. Multiple times he has fed a pass through multiple players, and he has found someone for the tap in. You know, in this particular game, I watched it, and he was just honestly, it just seemed everything Arsenal does seems effortless, right? He doesn't look like he's trying sometimes when he's playing. Um, and so very distinctly, I remember there was a play up the boards where he was like almost like a gazelle striding to go get the ball, and he just kind of faked one way, and then just really stepped around Kadir. And everybody who was watching was like, that looked way easier than it should have been. And he just sidestepped him, and then that was that. So I
Did he
think
play
that
forward?
he played forward. I think he's played forward every game except maybe once
Okay.
when they were short. But
So
um,
so this
he Sorry.
So this is where, sorry to interject. So this is where I have to mention that I think I have the unique opportunity to say that I played with Arcel since he was a teenager. So he's a Montreal legend, right? Him and his brother, the Shahabuddins, they're living legends. Not Sakip type legends, what he usually calls legends, but they're legitimate legends. And Arcel has known to be a phenomenal forward. At Iceland, we've always seen him play D, but his main position is as a forward and as a very skilled one. So to me, him scoring and gazelle like prancing all over the ice, yeah, that's expected from my end. But I'm glad that the rest of the league is also getting a chance to see that.
Yeah, it's effort. Honestly, like kudos to him. I've definitely obviously contributed to the victory, and keep it up, man. Keep it up by showing these young kids how to do it.
And what I said at the beginning of the season of the vets really stepping up to foster the development of youth, he's doing it by example. He's leading by example on both ends of the pad. He's talking to one of our younger guys too, and really trying to mentor them and get them to develop. So I think we'll talk about a little bit more about this a little bit later. But it's a really good thing to see that that just that encouraging, that talking, that real vocalness from our leadership to really help these guys and develop them.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I played with Arcel when I first entered into the league, and he was really, really great in terms of helping me find my bearings. So I definitely can understand and know what you're talking about.
Yep, absolutely. So yeah, congratulations Arcel for being Player of the Week, a hat trick. That's just great to see. All right, next one, Mecca versus Medina divisions. What's going on? I haven't even checked the standings. How lopsided are we here?
Zaid, why don't you take this away, man? Because this was Zaid's suggestion. What did he say? I think he said, what was the caption that you come up with? I couldn't fit it here.
Oh, this one I was saying.
He said
the other
Makkah's
one.
tight and Medina's loose.
Pretty much, yeah.
Say again,
the
what
tight,
was it?
the tight Makkah race and the loose Medina race.
Yeah.
Right now, the Makkah teams are they're all within 2 points of each other. So we got Haya number 1, Iman number 4, but on any given day, like any given Friday, it's going to change. Simple, 1 win, 1 loss can really shuffle up the Makkah division. Now, however, the Medina division, it's Ikhlas and Yakin are just running away with it. They have 7 and 6 points respectively. Ehsan or Essad is winless, right? And they have some real rejigging to do internally. And Taqwa has 3 points. Yeah, it could still go either way, but we're looking at some significant differences here that just within the division, that if Ihsan doesn't turn it up and figure out what they need to fix or what they need to move around, then they could easily be out of a playoff spot sooner rather than later.
Well, I guess on that point, because we don't really have this, we don't really have a dedicated, I guess, slide or whatever, a topic. We talked last week about what the problem was with the Ihsan, right? And obviously, one of the big problems was that Arv decided to take a vacation. But apart from that, is they had all their GMs last week. They had all their GMs the week before. So it's not that their best players are not showing up. So what is it? I mean, Zaid, you saw the game. What did you see?
I honestly think that frustration's kicking in. You have Ihsan, who has 3 solid demons. You have Kadir. You have I'm trying to think of names right now.
Hamza.
I'm completely blanking.
Hamza.
Thank you, Hamza and Wasim, right? So we got real solid D-men. They were running with 3 D-men last game. So there's no real issue with them being able to run 3. These guys are experienced players. They know how to play. Dawood can easily, it did jump up and played forward most of last game. But then you have a lot of misreads and a lot of pinching, a lot of pressure internally to get a goal, to really break it up urgently. And I think that's where they're getting caught. I believe they scored the first goal against us. And I don't know what happened really to change it up internally. We did answer back quickly, but they're not clicking. So now they're starting to stir up internally. They're trying to make too many changes. I think they're really just overthinking it. Let the D-men just be stable D-men, help their goalie out. They had a big 9-2 loss a couple of weeks ago, right? That might still be playing a little bit of a factor in them mentally, but don't worry about it. Shake it off. Just play your game. You guys, the D-men know how to keep it stable, know how to keep it going. Let your forwards encourage them, keep it on their stick as much as possible, and let them cycle and let them shoot on net. I think it's going to take a little bit of internal reorganization, internal talks to just get things stable. But there's no reason why this team couldn't shoot right back up.
Oh, I'm going to tell you my theory, right? Or I guess my suggestion really is that Hamza Shakil should not be playing defense. Not that he's a bad defenseman, but I think that they need his firepower up front. And so I do think that they should perhaps consider either putting one of their um, talented, people on the forward core who can play defense, maybe moving them back or facilitating a trade. My sense from the GMs right now is that everybody's just kind of holding tight a little bit. I don't think anybody's really keen to make any moves because we've passed the trade deadline for this week. So if anybody was panicking after last week, they clearly haven't panicked enough to make any kind of changes. But I think every GM is kind of they're almost like in a hold and wait position where they're not sure. And I think it maybe has to do with a little bit of the fact that guys have been missing. Very seldomly have teams had a full team. So I think maybe GMs are holding out to think, okay, well, you know what? I haven't really seen what my team can do yet. Maybe some of these guys, and and they're saying, okay, well, you know what, maybe I'll give it another week. I would say if Hassan loses again this week, and I don't know who they're playing, I can't remember. It is cross divisional, so I think it is. It's not blue. Who's the other team in that division?
I could tell you.
So we have Ehsan.
It's versus Haya.
Ehsan played Haya.
Haya, right, there you go. It's against Haya, right? So if they lose against Haya, I would be very confident that a move is coming. Now, what that move is, I don't know, because it comes back at when Kadir was on the podcast. I said they need a stay-at-home defenseman, right? Or they need someone who can solidify that, and then that would allow Hamza Shakil to move up. And I think they can figure out between Hamza and Daoud. I think that they would probably make a formidable.
But I mean, I'm on the team, and I can tell you that most of at least the 2 games that I played, which is half of the 4, those 2 games, Hamza started on. Well, when he played, he started on D, and then as we needed goals, he actually moved up, right? So that's a good thing and a bad thing. I mean, he's such a good player; he can play both places at the same time. But it also kind of sort of throws off the team midway in the game, right? Because he's playing D and now he's playing forward, so someone else has to play D. So I think whichever position he plays, if he sticks to that the whole game, it will actually be better for the entire team.
I think so too. I think that the position he needs to stick to is forward, though.
I'm inclined to agree with Omar on this one because, if you get to a quick lead with Hamza at forward, sure, you can drop him back later on to solidify at the end of the game, last 5 minutes or whatever. But why not start him with forward? Like you have Bachbaya there, you have Daoud there, you have you could pull Zuberi back. Zuberi's more than comfortable playing both. And I call him messy hair, don't care Zuberi, because I don't know why, but both Zuberi brothers might not believe in a comb. But just pull him back, and he's a stable demon now. He's really developed his skills, so why not bring that lethality to the forward line and really get something churning, get those early leads, get those quick goals, and put the other team on their heels.
Yeah, well, you don't need a comb if you have a perm, so that's
there you go. I mean, aside from Hassan, I mean, obviously Hassan, I believe, is the only team without a point, right? In so far,
yeah,
I think every other team has a point. So I don't want to, kick them while they're down. But I mean, there are other teams, right, that are really on the bubble, right? Look, Takwa was only 3 points ahead of Hassan, right? A win for Hassan and a loss for Takwa means they're only 1 point back, right? So, it's not like Takwa's run away with it by any stretch. I think Takwa has their own issues that they still need to work through. Like the last game was the first game that Takwa scored more than a goal in the game. Yeah. Right. And even then, I think that Takwa being my team, we couldn't even close out that game. We were in the lead. I think with 30 seconds left or whatever it was, and we still had issues closing that game out. So if we can't figure it out, we're at a real risk of having Ehsan kind of catch us a little bit. So, but I think Zaid, you are right where Yakin and Ikhlas have been rolling, and a lot of Ikhlas's success has to do with the fact that we're going to call them the Malton team, but they're familiar with each other. Mohib has really he's found his groove there. He's found a place there. He gels well with them, and I mean we'll get to the their goaltending a little bit later, but I think as a team they're rolling, and I think the surprise for a lot of people has been Yakin. Yakin, I don't think anybody expected that they were going to be where they are. It's just 1 point back, and of the division lead. I think they were underestimated a lot.
So just to keep things going, again, this is not a full recap of every team, so let's keep on moving here. But speaking of people who have been putting up a lot of points, let's talk about Mr. Bika, Asif Bika on Rida's team. What's going on? I checked the stats, and he has like a gazillion goals.
The question really, the question is to be or not to Bika. That's the question. Okay. And yeah, I spent a lot of time thinking that up. So I'm not even going to take it.
And that's what you came up with?
Well, he has two straight games with a hat trick. So nice. Yeah, he didn't get player of the week, right? Arsenal deserved it. He got the extra assist. But guess what? He's silently scoring. He's the silent assassin, and he has a blistering shot. Hamoudi's looking like a magician out there, just passing it to Bika, and Bika rips it from any place on the ice. So
you should have done pass it to Bika. Pass it to Will. Just pass it to Bika.
Well, he seems to have a few really good passers in Hamoudi and Sani and Salman. Yes,
but I've seen the goals that he's scoring, and they're not like I'm not taking away from the guys that are passing it to him. The guys that are passing it to him are doing a great job, and maybe working to get drawing some of the players to them. But Asif is scoring from like the blue line, from the red line once. Like it's not like they're not doing like those shell cross creep passes for him. He's really, he has a bullet, and I think we had identified him as maybe having one of the hardest shots in the league. And just fun fact is when we did the rankings, the player rankings, we ranked Asif Bika at number 1, and somehow he was available in the second round. He got drafted on the snake. So I think the GMs were sleeping a little bit on that.
And I believe
Sakib wants to mention. He's messaging on the side. Hey, I told Sani to draft Bika, so Sakib wants to take credit for that one.
There you go.
So Coker couldn't help our team out. He's going to help somebody else out. Good to know.
It was that softball. That's apparently why he couldn't help anyone. So
yeah. Well, one thing about Asif Bika is that the last few seasons, the first few seasons that he's played with Islam, I often found him. He looked like he was frustrated on many of the teams. Just something was not clicking. But I think this season, obviously, the stats show that whatever was missing, he's got it with Rida. So now the question is, can they keep it up?
Well, to that point, though, he scored 3 goals, but they lost. So I'm not saying it was a wasted effort. It was a good personal effort, but unfortunately, I think Nader was away, and so they had a backup last week. And I'm not blaming the goalie at all. I'm just saying that 3 goals is great, but 3 goals in a losing effort, it doesn't really help your team. And so I do think that they're probably going to have to get goal scoring from other people too. Like I know Omer Said has been scoring goals. Hamoudi, I think, has a lot of assists, but like I think Ajmal's up there as well. But it just can't be Asif
too. What a passer,
right? Yes, but it just can't be Asif Bika because guess what's going to happen? Guys are going to start gravitating, or they're just going to try to suffocate him with space wherever he is, and then we may see a dip in the goal scoring. So I do think they're going to have to rely on somebody who's other guys are gonna have to step up, and there's definitely just Farouk Sani is there, Salman Khal is there, Hamoudi is there, Ajmal's there. Like they have a great team, so I think they're gonna have to spread the wealth a little bit.
So one thing I do want to add to that is, Mohamed Mughal subbed in, and he played a great game. No doubt about it, he had played a great game. It was just Yakin's speed and I would say the youth behind it, where they came in early, they came in quick, capitalized on some of the quick mistakes and quick chances they had, and they got a quick 4-0 lead, I believe it was. Now, the rest of the game, Rida was on point. They owned the play, they owned the power play, they were moving along. So if the game was a little bit longer, I think Rida had the chance of coming back. But of course, that's if, ands, or buts. So I think it just tightens up and gets their say. But if they got their act together early, they would have been perfectly fine, and they would have come out with the W.
Remember, Farouk Sani was also missing last week, so that could have been a difference as well. Maybe if he was there, they might have got a couple more goals, and or maybe come out with a tie.
Yep. All right. So let's move on to the next item, which is who needs a trade.
Oh boy, who doesn't need a trade? That's the question.
So your name is in the trades all the time. I don't know if it's self-inflicted or what's going on. Like, why are you always on the trade block?
Well, I mean, you have a second. Was I second or third? I can't remember. So I think I was second. You have a second overall pick with no points. So, I mean, I don't know.
See this team here that you and I play for. Apparently, you got a hat trick or something yesterday.
Almost got a hat trick yesterday. It was.
So you're saving all your goal scoring in the other league.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess they just don't know who I am in the other league. You know what? Actually, I found this season is that more than once I've heard, "Don't let Asawi shoot. Get to Asawi." So like I'm getting a lot of attention from the point, and so I don't know.
Rightfully so.
Yeah, I mean, look, at the end of the day, I do appreciate the respect they get on the floor. If they can give me a little less respect and some more space, I'd appreciate it. But again, I don't know. I mean, I'm not privy to trade talks. I'm just OC. I'm not involved. I'm not. My name is not Sakib Kokor. I'm not a shadow GM in any stretch.
No, but you are privy to trade talks. You literally see every trade that happens.
I'm privy to trade confirmations, not rumors.
Okay,
that being said, I do think that there are teams that should probably explore the trade market to see if there's something that makes sense for both sides. Like, I definitely think that Hassan probably needs to pick up the phone a little bit. I think Iman probably needs to pick up the phone a little bit. Like, we played at Iman last week, and Omar Hussein is really driving that team's offense. And without him, I'm not sure. I do see a glaring need for defense on a lot of teams. And what I mean by defense, I mean guys that will just play defense. I don't mean guys that will try to join the rush and I think a lot of forwards, what I've seen is that they're kind of hesitating to join, like to really commit to the offense because they're worried about the defense. And so I think that if they're able to stabilize the back end a little bit, then they can really play their game, go down deep, cycle the ball. But the smart players, I'm sensing a little bit of hesitation there. They're almost floating in the middle a little bit and really hesitant to commit to the offensive zone. I think that, when it comes to even teams that are in the middle of the pack, like you look at a team like Subber, right? Winning, like they had a great game last week, right? But they lost the week before. I think they lost the last 2 weeks before. I think. Do they need to do something to shake things up, right? In terms of like, do they need a defenseman? I think they do. I think Sadat is great. And Summit has actually been playing amazing, by the way. Shout out to Summit and Wahab. They've been playing great. At the same time, too, do you think that, okay, well, you know what, maybe I need to add, I don't want to throw anybody's name out there, but you need to add maybe another defenseman, and then, have somebody, I know Imad's been playing out of position. He hasn't complained or anything like that. He's not asking us to advocate on his behalf, but Imad's a centerman. And I think maybe they might benefit about how, maybe they need like a defenseman to play behind Sadat.
Yeah. Well, right? I'm going to go to Majo on this one. So we have a comment here by the tradesman himself, Mr. Abdullah Patel. Wonder if we're buyers at the trade deadline. How do you respond to this comment?
Now, is he talking about himself, right? Like, I think they're going to be. I think they need to make a move. I think they need to do something, right? Like Omar said.
But what? If you were them, what would you do?
Well,
Omar, do not have to name names. Position.
Well, that's the thing. Like, Omar, you got to go back to your days of IBHA, man. You didn't have much space, and you would still make it work. So I think it's just finding that ability to kick into high gear. I think I don't know why you just haven't been able to find that. But I think that team, like Haya, it's like Takwa is a good team. They're a solid base team. It's just a matter of finding that second gear. And your goalie is, you have Amr Khawaja on the back end. You have Zuhair Fancy, Idris Dean. Maybe it's a little bit of tiredness and a little bit of too much experience on the back end that's slowing you guys down. But you guys have a lot of ability to actually find that second gear. I think it's cohesiveness that you guys just need, and maybe a little bit of time to develop. Now, in the past, when the shadow GM was working on Iman, he was pulling trigger. He was just pulling the trigger left, right, and center. So I don't think there's much that needs to be done on Takwa at this moment. However, we are looking at teams like Isan. Do they need to make a big deal? I think, again, I'm looking at a rejuggling, not significant deal at this point. You don't need to really go destroy the team. Like, even ourselves, Suburb, we were missing Wakar Khan two weeks in a row. We were missing, we missed Kokar 3 games in a row. So, yeah,
Does
we're
Kokar
missing
still
some.
play?
He played one game so far.
He played one. Right? We might pull Kokar back, right? And get that vision, get that ability on the back end. And Dawood Khan, he's one of the young players that's just agreed he's going to play back, and Arsenal's been really mentoring him, and he's developed. Again, really young, so he has a little bit of hesitation, a little bit of beats up on himself, but he's taking advantage of this extra playing time he's getting, and he's taking it in full stride. So,
Yeah.
again,
So I have a question for you guys
Yeah.
that maybe played in the league a little bit longer than I have. I mean, last season was the first season that I ever got traded. I got traded once before in my entire life. But at what point does a team say, like, at what game does a team make this decision? Because you still need to get that player oriented, and you need to have them kind of fit in. And like, we're in we're game 5 now next week.
Yeah, so I was actually going to comment on the exact same thing that Omar you asked, which is two points. One, if you're going to make a trade, you shouldn't be making it at the end. You need the trade to also to sort of settle in, right? The new player has to settle into your system, unless it's a player that you have. So at least you need 3 games, I would think. That's point number one. And point number two is, I think a lot of teams this year, they just feel that they're happy with what they have, what they chose. The games are relatively close, maybe a couple of blowouts. Red team. But other than that, GMs, I think they're happy with what they have, and they don't want to make any big moves. But I think in the case of some teams, I think you might just need to do a trade just for the heck of it, just to shake things up a little bit. I mean, so those are the 2 points I have, which is you need time for the new people to gel in, and sometimes even if you don't want to make a trade, it might be worth shaking it up.
You're not making a Josefa fire sale. So gelling, I think the 3 games that takes, like, from the trade deadline onwards, I think that's not going to be a big deal, right? But first, look internally. What changes can you make rather than having to really give up something significant? Hey, if you need, I've been traded every single season since COVID, so 2 seasons now, back onto Summer. So I don't know what my chances are getting traded off of Summer. But we'll wait to see what happens on trade deadline. But just you need that patience. First, you can't have that knee-jerk reaction of, oh my God, we've lost 4 games, we need to make a fire sale. You can't do that. That's bad planning. That's bad execution. You drafted this team. Have faith in your guys. Have faith in the ability to develop. Again, but given maybe 1 or 2 more games, if things are really not gelling, you're finding those inconsistencies, absolutely make that trade, make a deal that will better your team and will give you a chance at that championship.
Yeah, but we're only 2 games away from the trade deadline, right?
Yeah.
So
1 or 2 games.
right, so we're 2 games away from the trade deadline. I guess I'm not a GM, but I'm thinking, like, there's 2 things, right? Number one is I feel like you have to give guys a chance to get, like for instance, a lot of the trades that I'm suggesting personally is I'm saying, okay, well, a lot of teams need to bring a defenseman so they can move somebody up forward, right? So that changes your whole line dynamic and all that stuff. I think you need to give some time, because we don't have practices or anything like that. I think you need to give some time for gelling. Yeah. Second is that in the past, I've felt is trading in Iceland is a lot like trading in fantasy hockey. Everybody thinks that they should get a lot more for their players than maybe they should be, right? And so that's also a challenge I find with a lot of GMs is you want to make a trade for a defenseman, and maybe that defenseman was drafted in, like, the lower rounds, and all of a sudden the guy wants your 2nd round pick, right? If you want to make a trade, right? So I think that maybe that could be a holdup. Maybe there are talks happening, and maybe some GMs right now is that they want too much.
But that's where the skill of a GM comes into play, where you realize that maybe you are getting someone who was lower on the rank, but that person will actually have a lot bigger synergy with your team. So he's actually worth a lot more. So being able to identify that, I think that's where you become a candidate for GM of the year.
Well, Arif, do you need a change of scenery? Because Abdullah thinks so.
Well, Abdullah always thinks that I need to be traded to his team, which I appreciate, Abdullah. But a couple of things. One, I've only played 2 games, so I haven't even enjoyed the scenery in my current team. And 2, I like my team. This amazing bunch of guys. I know we're in the hole right now, but I think this week is when we start to climb out. So yeah, I'm good with the scenery I have. Another vacation? Nah. All right. So speaking of, I guess, folks who have been traded in the past, Badger is one of them. But this year, what's going on? Why is he on this list, Maju?
Badger?
Well,
Sorry, go ahead.
No, quite all right. I think, well, it was one of our media team members that ended up, well, your media team members. I would say I'm an honorary guest right now. So just Badger is playing really well. He's posted 1 goals against average right now, only 4 goals in his 4 games. So that is phenomenal for any goalie in any league to be able to consistently do that. He does have, Abu, Huzi, Muhib, Kazi, helping the team, helping them to keep it on the other side. 1 game was a blowout, unfortunately. Not going to call out the team, but it happens. Things go awry, so that kind of helps him, even though that team ends up scoring in the last minute. So those things have helped him, but he has always been a stable goalie. He's always been a reliable goalie. Now, and then he proved it in Salam Cup. So now this is just him reaping those rewards. All of that being said, one player consistently gets overshadowed on his team. One player who always has his head up, and I noticed this last week even more so, just a consistent player through and through, 2-way player, man doesn't get a lot of recognition, is Zahid Patel, also known as Tubby, but that's his nickname. But
it's his brother too.
Yeah, it's his brother. And if you just watch next game again, hopefully Zahid, you're gonna prove me correct, and I'm calling you and saying you are probably one of the best, underrated players right now that I see. Plays with his head up, knows where to pass, knows where to be. A lot of it has to do with the team he's playing on, but these intangibles, you cannot just say, hey, yeah, disregard them because of his friends or whatnot. He plays really well. He hustles. He takes the right shots. He's in the right position. We'll play forward. We'll play back. So that intangible, I think, is really helping the team, other than the big name guys that always get that recognition.
I agree, and I think Badger had a bit of a down season the last season, and this is a great comeback for him. And for all his quirks, Badger is a great guy, so I'm happy for him. And he's he actually looks like he's having a lot of fun this season. Badger's the kind of guy. I mean, I've played in front of Badger, and he's the kind of guy who'll start dancing in the net, and he'll start making jokes and stuff like that. So it's really fun to play in front of him, and I can see a lot of that. Like, he looked very frustrated last year, and this year I'm happy to see him having fun and having that success. So definitely keep it up. I mean, one thing that I will say is I don't feel like Ikhlas has allowed Badger to be shelled in the net, in the sense that they've really played well in front of him. And so I don't think Badger has had to extend himself too much to have the success, right? And not that he makes the key saves when he needs to. He has really great reflexes, but it's just a kudos to the team in front of him as well, right? Is that I think a goalie is being a defenseman. I know a goalie's success is largely tied to the team in front of them as well. So kudos to Ikhlas, and big ups to Badger.
Maju, you were saying that Zahid is an underrated player. That team also has an underrated superstar in Kazi. So is this just an underrated team? What's going on?
No, hold on. Underrated superstar Kazi. After he got on after he was the poster child, it's been zeros across the board. He really needs to step it up. He's just that the one season he was on the poster for summer, and he's completely just been missing. I think he's still on vacation somewhere.
He's got the diva syndrome.
It might be like the NHL, the person on the shell cover.
Yes.
They have maybe something like that. If you're on an Islam graphic, then it's a little bit of a jinx.
So, Omar, since you control a lot of those graphics, are you saying you have the voodoo magic to
No,
cause
no,
people's
no, no.
downfall?
Voodoo is black magic is haram, my friend. But I'm gonna tell you, if there's any, even the slightest truth of that, I'm gonna be putting the player that I'm gonna be playing in the next week. They're gonna be on every graphic moving forward. So,
All right. So, what's this one about? Grumpy old men.
Maju, this was yours, man. I'm gonna let you take this week because you're gonna upset a lot of guys.
Oh, that's quite all right. And I have a list right here too. So I'm going to be calling every single person out. So, grumpy old men.
Uh-huh.
This is just a chance to call out and give thanks to our grumpy old men in the league. The league wouldn't be just the same without them. And really, to be honest, it's what player over 40 in this league has been putting the league on notice. Who's been excelling, who's been playing really well. And I hope I can do this properly and put this out there. So give me 1 second. I don't know if you guys heard that, but that was
Yeah, we did.
okay. Good.
Yeah.
So that was for my friend Faisal Mahmoud, who is, again, I think he's over 40. At least I know. I'm hoping some of these guys are.
Are you talking biological age or mental state? Because they're two different things.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Thank you for saying that. So physical age, I think we're going to go with.
Okay.
He's playing really well. He's always played well. He hustles. He's in the right spot. He does it well. He had a couple of really good cross creasers, the Chell cross creasers, but some of his teammates couldn't just tap it in. But that's okay. Then we have Habibi. I could have gone with Yalla Habibi as well, but he's a good player out there. Now Arif, I guess I got to put you in here, Mister, who kind of
I'm not
scores
grumpy.
here and there. Yeah, but you're still over 40, so I'll let that go.
I'm closer to 50, man.
Arsal, who's just quiet, and I honestly thought he didn't like me for the longest time because he was just like,
no.
You get that mean mug. But
Arsal is the nicest guy you'll meet.
Well, hey, I didn't know that, right? But for all of these guys, I think the one person that stands out to me because I played with him last season is Ahsan Zaidi. He plays really well. I don't think he's been on the board this season. He hasn't been able to get any goals going. The team has struggled, but he just day in, day out, what you're getting with him. That consistency on the back end, the shot blocking, the weird shot he puts on net, but just that consistency. So I think these guys, the 5 guys I listed out, they're the ones to watch for over 40. But I think Ahsan Zaidi is going to turn it up. He's also playing with his son.
Excuse me. Okay, you have not made mention of Mr. Zuhair Fancy. Okay, you have not made mention of Amr Khwaja. Like, come on, man! Like, you're killing Taqwa here. Like, I think this is a racist.
There's another Kokar as well.
Okay, yeah, and you know what? Alhamdulillah. When I look at some of the the elder
Leadership.
brothers and you know what? I hope that I can move like they can, and when I hit 40, right? And it's just, subhanAllah, I think it's a testament to how they take care of their bodies. I know Arif has a poutine every Friday, so I don't know. I mean, I'm not going to follow that lead.
From Popeyes, too.
From Popeyes. So, but that being said, I think that they're a great example, and alhamdulillah, like a lot of our older brothers in the league, they're also very kind and very mentoring. So kudos to them. I don't think the league would be the same without them. So we definitely have
over 42, by the way.
Hamoodi's over 40. There you go.
There. There's also the other Kokar, right? But I think grumpy old men is best personified by Riz. Not off the ice. Off the ice, he's like super chill. But on the ice, man, he's grumpy. And I know he's looking.
We're just waiting for him to start typing out something. But yeah, you've definitely mentioned a lot of great guys, and hey, some of these guys I didn't think were 40. Even Coach K, he's another player, right?
Coach K,
and these guys, every single one of them, what do they have in common is, again, that development, that mentorship. They'll always pull that guy aside and say, hey, what can you do? What can you be doing better? What can you change? Why are you playing like this? But again, giving that constructive feedback. And that's what I personally appreciate. I think I've taken my game a little bit on a higher pedestal since last season or the season before. I'm trying to do the same. I've had some good leadership that gives me that advice as well. And this is what the league is about. It's about that one brotherhood. It's about that family mentality, and just to help those young guys out. They want to get better too. They want to play. They want to have a long career. So sometimes when we see that crazy play happening and they're just giving their all out, that's fantastic. But hey, from a goalie, take care of your knees, boys. Take care of your knees.
Yeah. Well, you know what Riz is saying here, grumpy is just another word for passionate, and I totally agree. So I would say let's get rid of the grumpy old man moniker, and instead let's call them what they are, which is the elder statesman.
There you go. Well, next week, next podcast rather, we are going to highlight some of the younger players in the league as well. So, maybe the younger players are going to hear this and put on a show for us this Friday. But
Inshallah.
Well,
inshallah,
actually, isn't there something going on this
no,
week
no,
about some younger
it's next
players?
week. It's next week. It's not
Oh,
this
is it
week.
next week?
Yeah,
Okay,
it's next week.
because
So
they're
I mean,
sending out
we're not gonna have a
posters.
podcast. Yeah, we're not gonna have a podcast before then. But yeah, I mean, for anybody
I might
wondering,
just have to have one with them, just one-on-one with them,
you know what? Then
see.
actually, I would highly recommend that. You should definitely. They're having taught them. For people who are wondering what's happening,
Yeah.
my former students, Hood and Zia, they play on Subber. So they've invited some of their classmates and alumni of the school to come and watch the game. They made a little poster that they shared with the student council of the school, really making this into a spectacle. How they beat up on an elderly man and their teacher. So that's the show that they want to put on. But maybe they can talk further about that. Or if you're more than welcome to have them on the podcast and let them say their piece. But I mean. Uh, they probably need a little bit of some lessons in how to respect your elders, and so clearly I didn't do a good job of teaching them, guys. I mean, I don't
Well, you
know.
know what, guys, if you find me at the rink tomorrow, inshallah, and we'll get some video interviews of you guys, so you could spread that on your socials as well.
There you go. We can jump to the last one, I think.
Hmm?
Oh, I was gonna say we can just jump to the last
Yeah, that's
the
right.
last. So the Human Concern International, as a lot of you guys know, are the Player of the Week sponsor of the league. They are currently doing a fundraising campaign to help with the relief in Pakistan from the flooding. So I guess we're kind of getting to crunch time a little bit because the weather is getting colder, and the relief efforts are being directed to um, help with things like food and shelter and clothing. So while we're not accepting those things, the funds are going to provide those things on the ground. We set the goal at 2,500. We're about $1,000 away from there. Alhamdulillah. So thank you to everybody that's contributed. If you have the means and you're able to contribute any further, we greatly appreciate it. I would definitely, recommend that you either check the Launch Good page. I'll have the media team release the link again, and also HCI will also be on site tomorrow with the debit machine, and they'll also be accepting cash. So if you're able to contribute at the arena, then that would be also much appreciated. And inshallah, we can do what we can for those brothers and sisters that greatly do need it.
Inshallah. Even if you have pocket change, gentlemen, or some change in the cup of your car, just grab that and just bring that into the doors.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. No, absolutely. It's. I mean, we're lucky to be playing a game we love to play. Meanwhile, there's people all over the world. They're lucky to even have a shelter or anything, right? So it's obviously important to support these initiatives, but at the same time, be thankful for what we have and make dua for those who don't. So absolutely, do what we can for these things.
Inshallah.
All right. So on that note, guys, any last words? Maju, we'll go with you.
No, I think I've said enough. I think I believe I'm playing Ikhlas this week, so calling out Kazi's might do a number for me, but we'll see. Kazi has been able to score a couple of goals, and when I got traded, scored extra goals, and really got the stats high that week. So who knows what Kazi will bring out this week. So we'll see. That's 10 o'clock game. So let's see what goes on.
All right, Omar.
just a general reminder to everybody that we're brothers, and we all have families and hopefully jobs to go back to. So take it easy, when we're playing. And just want to give a shout out to Zuhair Fancy for giving Takwa basically all the 11 p.m. games. Thank you, Zuhair. Really appreciate it. Maybe that's why we're not winning, because everybody's sleeping when they should be, trying to figure out how to play the game. But no, you know what? Alhamdulillah, we've had a great season thus far. Let's keep it up, guys. And I know that there's players who are itching to see some trades. They want to have a trade center thing going on. So, GMs get on the phone, man. Let's what'd be interesting is if we could, if there are any trades, if we could have those GMs on to kind of maybe explain the rationale and to maybe talk, or maybe we could do a PTI with the player that was traded and their GM together.
Oh,
They
God.
could kind of talk it out and see. Yeah, that would be great entertainment. So, but no, thanks
Can we
everybody
find
for
Ali
tuning in.
Wadi?
There you go. I mean, I'm pretty sure Hanan and Yusuf might have a nice conversation, so we could
Ali
figure
and
that
Hanan
out.
would be fun. Cool.
Yeah.
All right, gentlemen. With that, let's call it a night, and inshallah, tomorrow we'll see everyone at the rink. And I don't know when the next podcast is. I guess we said what, every 2 weeks?
Yeah, so the week after next. So I would expect that we'll probably be approaching the trade deadline. So I don't think the trade deadline would have been passed just yet.
Okay. All right. With that, assalamu alaikum, boys, and we'll see you all next time.
Assalamu alaikum.
All right. Take care, guys. Assalamu alaikum.